The desert night lay still, a vast ocean of silence stretching beneath the pale wash of the moon. Somewhere beyond the canyon ridge, a coyote howled, and the sound drifted down into the small frontier town of Red Mesa. Its streets were empty, save for a single rider who moved like a shadow across the dirt road. His horse was lean, his hat pulled low, and his eyes, though hidden, burned with a sharpness that came only from men who'd lived by a code few dared to name. His name was Samuel Creed, and men whispered it with equal parts fear and respect. They called him many things: outlaw, gunslinger, killer. But Creed had a rule, a line in the sand that kept him from becoming the monsters he hunted. The town saloon still glowed, its lamps flickering amber against the windows. Laughter, drunken shouting, and the clang of a piano bled out into the street. Creed stopped his horse before it, dismounted, and tied the reins loosely. The door creaked open as he stepped inside. The saloon was crowded with cowhands, gamblers, and drifting souls who had little reason to live beyond the whiskey in their cups. But Creed's eyes fixed on one table at the back, where 4 men sat in silence, their boots muddy, their coats dusty, and their faces hard. They were the Durant brothers, ruthless killers who had painted 3 towns red in the past year. Creed moved to the bar and ordered a glass of water. The barkeep, a nervous old man with trembling hands, slid it across. "You shouldn't be here, Creed," he muttered under his breath. "Those men back there, they don't forgive, and they don't forget. Word is they're hunting the one who gunned down their cousin in Yuma." Creed took a sip, never moving his gaze from the Durants. Their cousin was a butcher. He killed women and children in La Vida. The code's clear. The barkeep's eyes flickered with both fear and admiration. Creed's code was legendary. He never drew first unless he was sure the man deserved it. To the law he was a criminal, but to the frontier folk who lived in fear of gangs like the Durants, Creed was a shadow of justice, walking where the sheriff's badge dared not. The Durants noticed him soon enough. One, with a scar that ran from his ear to his jaw, leaned back in his chair. Well, if it ain't the ghost of Yuma himself." He grinned, showing yellowed teeth. "Come to finish the rest of us, Creed? Or you reckon the devil'll take his time with me?" Creed stood silent, his hand hovering close to the worn revolver at his hip. "I came because there's a line, Durant. You crossed it in Carson when you dragged that rancher's daughter into the dirt. The code won't let me pass by." The room fell quiet. Even the piano player stilled his fingers. Everyone knew what was coming. The Durants rose, slow and deliberate, their hands brushing the grips of their guns. But Creed's eye stayed steady, his stance calm as stone. He didn't need to draw yet. He wanted them to decide. The scarred brother spat on the floor. "Your code ain't nothing but a story to make yourself sleep at night. You kill men same as us." "Difference is," Creed said, voice low, "I kill men who've already damned themselves." The standoff broke in a flash. The Durants drew first, but Creed was faster. 2 shots cracked, echoing like thunder, and 2 brothers fell. The others scrambled, one firing wildly, another ducking for cover. Creed's gun barked twice more, precise, cold, ending the fight before the smoke even cleared. When silence returned, for bodies lay sprawled, and Creed holstered his revolver as if nothing had happened. The saloon's patrons stared at him with wide eyes, the mix of awe and terror they always felt in his presence. He said nothing more, only dropped a coin on the bar for the water and stepped back into the night. But Creed knew this was only the beginning. Men like the Durants had friends, allies, and kin who would come looking for him. And in the shadows of Red Mesa, another figure already waited. Sheriff Elias Harrow had watched Creed for months, trying to decide whether to arrest him or shake his hand. Harrow was a weary man, his badge tarnished, his spirit worn down by years of compromise. He had seen lawmen by silence, judges bought by gold, and deputies too afraid to stand against men like the Durants. But Creed lived by something harder than law, something pure. When Creed stepped into the sheriff's office later that night, Harrow was ready. "You're a killer, Creed. No denying that. But damn if I haven't seen more justice in your 6-gun than in half the courts west of the Mississippi." Creed leaned against the wall. "Then you know why I can't stop. There's a code, Sheriff. A man without one is nothing but an animal. and these lands got too many animals roaming free. Harrow studied him in the dim light. The trouble with codes, Creed, is they cut both ways. One day, a man who believes he's right might find himself staring down your barrel. Creed didn't argue. He knew it was true. His code was a burden as much as a shield, but it was all he had. Over the next weeks, word of Creed's killings spread like wildfire. Some called him a savior, others a devil. Mothers prayed for him, and fathers cursed his name. Posters with his face appeared on town walls, wanted dead or alive. But even the bounty hunters who came for him often left in pine boxes. Creed's code made him dangerous not because he killed, but because he never missed the men who needed killing. One evening, as the sun bled red over the horizon, Creed found himself outside a burned ranch house. The land was blackened, the air thick with the stench of ash. A small boy sat alone on the steps, tears streaking the dirt on his face. Creed dismounted, crouched beside him, and placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Who did this?" Creed asked gently. The boy sniffled. "A man named Fallon. He rides with 20 others. Said my pa owed him land. Shot Ma when she tried to stop them." Creed's jaw tightened. Fallon was worse than the Durants, a man who thrived on terror, who wore cruelty like a badge of honor. Creed stood and looked west, where the gang's dust still trailed against the sinking sun. The code was clear. Fallon had crossed the line. The battle that followed became legend. Creed rode into Fallon's camp alone, a single rider against 20. He didn't come with speeches or warnings. He came with fire in his eyes and his revolver steady in his hand. The gang laughed at first, mocking him, surrounding him. But the laughter died when Creed moved. The fight was brutal, unrelenting. Guns thundered, smoke choked the air, and men screamed as they fell. Creed fought like a man possessed, his movements swift, precise, born of years of discipline. By the time the dust cleared, Fallon's gang lay broken, and Fallon himself crawled in the dirt, begging for mercy. Creed stood over him, revolver aimed. The code said Fallon deserved no mercy, but Creed hesitated. In that moment, Sheriff Harrow appeared with his deputies, guns drawn. "Don't do it, Creed," Harrow shouted. "Let the law have him. Prove your code ain't just another excuse." Creed's finger hovered on the trigger. His code demanded justice, but perhaps justice wasn't only in death. Slowly, he lowered the gun and stepped back. Fallon was dragged away in chains, cursing, spitting, vowing revenge. That night, Harrow walked beside Creed under the stars. "You did right," the sheriff said quietly. "You showed the difference between a killer and a man with a code."